Tyler Shuck was the third quarterback selected in the 2025 NFL draft, but he might be the most valuable dynasty asset. We'll tell you why next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We'd also like to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is the Fantasy Football Hall of Famer, Michael Fabiano. And on today's show, we're discussing the biggest sleepers at quarterback and tight end. We're also going to tell you some deep stashes at the end of the show that you should have on your rosters. But let's start at quarterback, Fabs, because this is probably the spot that's the hardest to find sleepers because frankly, we just know all these names, and there's only so many starting quarterbacks, and it's very rare that a backup quarterback ends up becoming not only a starter, but a viable fantasy option. However, I do think someone like Tyler Shuck, who is being drafted outside of the top 20 quarterbacks right now, is somebody that does have some sleeper potential, at least in one QB leagues.
Yeah, agree on all points that you made there. Trying to find a breakout quarterback based on my parameters is just about impossible as well. But yeah, Shuck, is he a breakout or is he a sleeper? It kind of depends on what you think his ceiling is. If you think he's got a top 5, top 8 ceiling, he'd break out. If you don't, and you think maybe he's going to be just a startable QB1, then he's probably more of a sleeper. But he was really good down the stretch last season. Like, I don't think people remember how good he was. 17 plus points in all but one of his last 8 games. Mm-hmm. He was the 8th best quarterback in fantasy football over the last 5 weeks of the fantasy season. And then when you look ahead here to the offseason, New Orleans has 8 picks in the draft. They've been rumored to potentially be tied to Notre Dame's Jeremiah Love. Maybe they draft a wide receiver there in the top 10. New Orleans appears now to be all in on Shuck. And with Kellen Moore, and you said this way back when, which kudos, Kellen Moore, and maybe we don't talk about coaching enough in fantasy, that was huge. And even though Shuck didn't win the job out of camp, it was Spencer Rattler. Rattler didn't play great. They went to Shuck. And now all of a sudden, this is a guy in an offense that should have more talent next season. He's got almost a full year of experience under his belt. And you would think the Saints are going to be in a lot of maybe not high-scoring games, but games where the offense is going to have to score points through the air. And also, too, Shuck can run with the ball, too. Like, yes. I mean, he's not Lamar Jackson, but, like, could he give you 200-300 yards on the ground? I mean, absolutely. So, based on what we saw, and remember, the last, 5 games, New Orleans went 4-1. So, this is a team that I don't know if they're ready to compete for the NFC South, but offensively, they're certainly going in the right direction.
But they might be. And that's the thing for me is like this division is so bad with Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and Carolina. Carolina won the division last year, and they're not anything great. I think you're going to be in a lot of high-scoring games. The other thing that I like is they have the pieces around them. Like the offensive line's good. They've got both their tackles. They hit on Kelvin Banks last year from Texas. That's like the hardest part is getting the offensive line. Chris Olave had a really good season. I think they're going to be in the running back market in free agency. And if they're the team that drafts Carnell Tate instead of the top 10 or Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson, I mean, what more could you want here, Fabs? Like everything is setting up for Shuck to have a monster sophomore season. On top of that, he actually graded out really well. And if you care about PFF grades, he was the 16th ranked quarterback in terms of passing grade. And I know passing grade doesn't mean fantasy production, but he's not a bad player. And I think that's the thing that's so intriguing is we saw him play really well down the stretch. I don't want to say I'm all in, but I'm getting close. And I'm looking at guys like Baker Mayfield and Goff and Darnold, who are all being drafted ahead of him. And I'd rather have Shuck.
Yeah, I think the thing too with Shuck coming out of college is that he was an older player. And so in Dynasty, that, devalued him a little bit. Do you want a guy who's, 21 years old, or do you want a guy who's 24, 25, but still a player now that looks to be in a very positive and fruitful position in New Orleans? And once again, I know it's not a big sample size. I get it. But when you score 17 plus points in all but one of your final 8 games, and again, not a big sample size,
correct,
but the spidey senses start going off in your head.
Real quick, if you had Shuck in your dynasty leagues, would you trade him for CJ Stroud, who's being drafted as QB 14 right now?
I got to be honest with you, man. I'd rather have Shuck.
And that's
it's insane to say that, right? I mean, it's crazy, but I think based on the offense, based on Kellen Moore, I think I'd rather have Tyler Shuck. Not for nothing, CJ Stroud was great as a rookie, but his last few years have been brutal.
I want to ask you about Cam Ward, because I'm still buying Cam Ward. It was just such a tough situation last year for him. The number 1 overall pick. Right now, he's being drafted in that, QB 20, QB 21 range. The Titans have a bunch of cap space this offseason to spend. They have, I believe it's the number 3 pick in this year's draft. I would assume that the Titans are going to be looking to add more offensive firepower around Cam Ward.
And they have a ton of money to spend.
Yeah.
A ton. So Brian Daboll coming in, I think it's a positive, right? I mean, listen, Brian Daboll's not, on Coryell. And if you know who that is, you've been around the NFL for a while.
Coryell, yeah.
That's right. But he did help Daniel Jones turn things around for 1 year in New York. And you're also looking at, he obviously was there in Buffalo with Josh Allen.
He's just not a good head coach, but I think he's a very competent offensive coordinator.
Right. Yes, correct. So I think that's a positive. And Tennessee's got a lot of money to spend. And I also, Kimray DK showed some flashes. And if the Titans don't, bring in another slot man, I mean, like Wan'Dale Robinson would be tied to Daboll. So maybe that's a move they want to make, because Robinson's a free agent. So
I didn't even make that connection. That makes way too much sense, right?
Right, exactly. So they've got some young talent. They've got money to bring in more talent. And I mean, listen, are they going to be able to, make a big splash with an alpha wide receiver? I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go that far. I think Calvin Ridley's kind of, toast, unfortunately, because of the injuries. But they're going to bring in weapons. They're going to solidify the offensive line. They've got the draft picks. They've got the money to do that. And so I like Cam Ward as a sleeper. And at the end of the season, again, small sample size, 15 or more points in each of his last 3 games during the fantasy playoffs, which is not bad.
No.
And again, you were looking at an offense that was a mess, dude. I mean, that offense was just brutal all year long. I think Gunnar Helm has got some potential as a deep sleeper as well. So I'm not willing to give up on Cam Ward just yet, and think maybe the arrow's pointing in a different direction for Ward going into this offseason training camp and into 2026.
Yeah, they have $103 million in cap space.
A ton of money to spend. The problem is getting players who want to go and play for the Titans.
Right. And I think if you're
and I hope they don't do what the Titans have done and sign old wide receivers like, Tyreek Hill would be the perfect Titan now, right?
Even someone like
Julio Jones, they did it with Randy Moss. I mean, there's a ton of wide receivers. You can even throw Calvin Ridley on the list now of receivers who went to Tennessee and just laid an egg.
Even guys like Jaywan Jennings. Like Jaywan Jennings, I don't want to see go to Tennessee because he's already passed it.
But look, he's got the connection with Saleh. So that's a perfect fit, right?
I would rather see them go, like, if you're going to spend money at receiver, spend $25 million and go get Alec Pierce, like somebody who's young and can make plays down the field. I just want to say, I'm not anticipating a New England Patriots rebuild here where in year 1 with a new coach, you're in the, AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. But they are that team that has all the cap space. They've got a young quarterback. I do think Robert Saleh is a better head coach than maybe what people think. Brian Daboll is going to be a big upgrade from the coaching that he got last year. I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee kind of makes that leap as a franchise. The only thing that has me concerned is that AFC South, the defenses are pretty good. Like Jacksonville's defense was good last year. Houston's defense was phenomenal. And we'll see about the Colts, but it's going to be a tough schedule for Cam Ward. I still believe in the talent. I'm very curious to see what they do this offseason. We'll
exactly.
We'll get to some more quarterbacks here in a little bit that I want to talk about from sleeper perspectives.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some tight ends that we think could break out in 2026. We'll get to that next.
Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? I mean, who wouldn't? That would be awesome. FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. And here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, I mean, the whole experience. And if you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. Now, I love futures this time of the year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or maybe grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can it pick cash, but it can also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use that profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. If you haven't done so already, go check out the Everydayer Club. You're going to get ad-free episodes of the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast and so much more. So go to lockedondynasty.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, Fabs, let's talk about some tight end sleepers. This is much like quarterback. It's hard to find these guys because for the most part, they're either drafted early, they break out early, and it's just really hard to crack that like top 5, top 6 tight end range. But who were some players for you that you are going to be trying to acquire in your dynasty leagues this offseason?
So my favorite tight end sleeper for 26, early 26 is the same guy as last year, as Brenton Strange. And Brenton Strange showed flashes this past season, but he finished 23rd in fantasy points. He was injured for a part of the season, and that kind of, hurt his rise to stardom. But in the games that he played, I mean, he was averaging about 10 points per game. And at tight end, that's pretty good. And so if you project the numbers that he averaged in the games that he played over 17 games, I mean, he's in the top 12. So I think that he's going to be drafted in dynasty leagues as a backup. And I think he could be a starter potentially full-time in this upcoming season, assuming that Travis Hunter has moved to more of a defensive role because they have a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. Strange is one, but you know who I really, really love as well?
Who's that?
Jake Tonges in San Francisco.
Hey,
now he's
listen,
a restricted free agent.
I got to give you credit on this one. You helped me win
ahead.
a league because of Tonges. I was debating on which tight end to pick up in week 16. I think it was week 17. It was championship league. Picked up Tonges, I think, instead of Isaiah Likely. Won a championship. So appreciate that.
That's what I'm here for, my friend. As Elliot Harrison would say, appreciate that, Clark. So people on the podcast are like, who is this Elliot Harrison that keeps talking about?
Mythical figure.
We got to get him. Yeah, exactly. We got to get him on the show. But I love Tonges. Like, so think about everything that is going to go in his favor next season. Again, restricted free agent. The Niners would be stupid not to bring him back. Okay. He scored double digits in 5 games this past season. George Kittle may not play next season. He had a late season playoff Achilles tear. I don't know if he's coming back in 2026. And if he does, it ain't going to be for a while. So in an offense that right now lacks weapons big time. Okay. Juwan Jennings is a free agent. He could be gone. Brandon Ayuk is gone. Your number 1 wide receiver is Jackie Paper, Ricky Pearsall. You don't have much in terms of the wide receiver and receiver group. Tonges could end up, I could see him catching 60 balls next season and maybe easily in that offense. And so no one's going to draft this kid, Marcus, to be their starter.
No.
But you know what? He'd be a hell of an insurance policy if Kittle's on your dynasty team. And if he does end up being the guy there to begin next season, I think he has top 12 potential in that offense.
I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, whenever he's played, he's been awesome. I think he got a little bit banged up as the year went on last year, but I'm in agreement. I don't think the 49ers are going to go out and spend a bunch of money on like an Isaiah Likely, who we could talk about, or Kyle Pitts or anything like that. I think Tonges is a good player. He is somebody that I think needs to be rostered in every single dynasty league. So I'm with you. Let's talk about Isaiah Likely, because it's pretty clear that he wants out of Baltimore. He's a free agent. He's talked about how he's spent the last couple of years learning from Mark Andrews, and now it's time for him to spread his wings. The Ravens signed Mark Andrews to a contract extension late in the 2025 season, which I still don't know why they did that, but likely is going to be a free agent. It sounds like he would like to go to New England. I'm betting that wherever he lands, he's going to see a much bigger role than he had over the last couple of years. And we just know, like, when he's healthy and he's getting targets, he can be a difference maker at the tight end position.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And we've all been kind of waiting for like maybe not the breakout season, but at least a season where he's a sleeper. And if he's out of Baltimore, which it looks like he will be, there's a lot of teams that he could go to. And all of a sudden we are talking about him maybe as a top 12 tight end. The pie in the sky is Kansas City. If Travis Kelce decides to retire, we don't know what's going to happen there just yet. There's kind of like rumors and things going on either side. But remember, you can never believe anything on social media or on the internet. Just remember that, folks. Okay. Yeah. Please remember that you see, I see stuff all the time. This player's going here. Steve Perry's coming back to Journey, and it's all a bunch of BS.
I saw a quote yesterday that said, "You can't trust anything you believe on the internet." And it was attributed to Abraham Lincoln.
Oh my God. 100%. 100%. So they're like, could Isaiah likely go to a team, say like New England? Would he be the one there? Hunter Henry's still there. Could he go to the Giants and kind of usurp Theo Johnson because he was coached by John Harbaugh for the entirety of his career? I mean, that's possible as well.
I got a different landing spot.
Go ahead.
I think my gut tells me he's going to end up in Atlanta with Kevin Stefanski.
I mean, I would love that. I would say this, though. I'd rather see Njoku go to Atlanta, Pitts go to Washington. That to me is the fantasy scenario that I would love. But if Likely did go to Atlanta, huge win for him.
I got another tight end that I want to mention. And again, this is not a sexy name at all. This player is being drafted at 195 overall, and it's Pat Freiermuth, who's only 27.
Wow. Okay. That one's bold, Cotton.
And here's the reason why is Freiermuth is not ever going to be a top 5 tight end. He's not. Okay. But Mike McCarthy has a really good track record, at least in Dallas, of taking decent talents and just force feeding them the ball. Dalton Schultz was a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. Jake Ferguson had some really good years with the Cowboys as well.
Was Jermichael Finley with McCarthy in Green Bay?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was. But I think Pat Freiermuth could finish as like a top 12 tight end. And again, that's not super bold. But if you're getting him at tight end 27, I think you can get somebody who's going to be fairly consistent week in and week out just because they're going to get a lot of targets and they're going to get shots in the red zone. I think Freiermuth is undervalued right now in your dynasty leagues. I
mean, it's interesting. He's still a young player. 2 years ago, he was a fantasy starter, and maybe not the most consistent one, but he was a fantasy starter. So, Darnell Washington got hurt at the end of last season. I mean, Jonnu Smith, who knows what's going to happen with that situation. So no, I could see it. I could see him being undervalued. No doubt about that. I'm surprised you didn't mention Terrence Ferguson, who we both love. The one thing that I'm worried about is that the path for 2026 might be blocked by Colby Parkinson because he's still under contract. And not for nothing, but Parkinson was pretty good this past season. I mean, he was the sleeper Rams tight end. He had that big catch and the touchdown. So he's kind of, become enamored in Los Angeles. But I really like Ferguson. And when you remember that no team in the NFL ran more 13 personnel than the Rams last year, Ferguson is going to have his opportunities. Tyler Higbee's going to be gone, I would expect, as a free agent.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, let's take a look at some deep sleepers at the tight end and quarterback position that you need to be stashing on every single dynasty league. We'll get to that next. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which ones might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to take the top spot. 5 Hour Energy has a wide variety of flavors and something for everyone, just depending on their flavor profile. And 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost of energy with 0 sugar and 0 crash. they've got a lot of unbelievable flavors. My go-to is cherry, but the one that I've been really enjoying lately is the sour apple. It's the apple that bites back. It has a crisp and tangy taste. It's also, it's got some tart to it, which I really enjoy. A little sweet, but it has a lot of sour at the end. I wish I could do a better job of explaining it because it's absolutely phenomenal. So find your new flavor, favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Fabs, let's run through some deep sleepers at quarterback and at tight end. And let's go with Anthony Richardson, who seems like he's going to be on his way out in Indianapolis, assuming that he can see. I know that's like a big thing, is where is he at in terms of his eye surgery? But there's so much talent here that I got to believe somebody's going to take a shot on him.
I had to stop myself from laughing when you said, assuming he can see. That would be a need for sure.
Well, I mean, that's like a legitimate concern on X right now. Like people have no idea if he can see.
Any quarterback who's young and can run with the ball has some level of fantasy value. And if he gets a shot someplace else, he will be a sleeper, no matter where it is. And I don't know what that team will be. And there are teams that need a quarterback. Arizona is going to need a quarterback. Miami is going to need a quarterback. There are plenty of teams. Minnesota, I would argue, needs a quarterback. And I would suggest that, would you stop it? I would suggest that, yeah, go look at Justin Jefferson's numbers last year and tell me they'll need a quarterback. If he lands on a team that's going to allow him a chance to start, no matter how crappy he may be as a passer, when you factor in his ability to run with the ball, listen, quarterbacks who can run with the ball and can't throw worth a lick have had value in fantasy. Go talk to Justin Fields.
Correct.
Okay. Go talk to Timothy Tebow, whose passes looked like a duck that was shot out of the sky. It happens. I remember Terrell Pryor had some fantasy value as a quarterback with the Raiders because he can run with the ball. So if he lands a spot on a team where he could be the starter, Anthony Richardson is going to be a sleeper. And there's no question about it in my mind whatsoever. If you can go and acquire him now on the cheap, I would do it.
So, and same with Malik Willis. We know Willis is going to get paid this offseason. He's going to be a starter somewhere. He's got more value just because we know he's going to be a starter. In our latest batch of ADP from Dynasty League Football, Malik Willis is being drafted in that QB 25, QB 26 range. And I think he should be higher than that, honestly, because he's going to have so much rushing upside.
Let me pick your brain, though, real quick on this. Anthony Richardson was a very highly touted high draft pick of the Colts not so long ago. You know, injuries have obviously been an issue. Malik Willis, you know, he fell in the draft a few years ago, went to Tennessee, was basically a failure. Had a couple of good games in Green Bay. A couple, you know, and it was just last year. A couple of good games. Would you still rather have Malik Willis in Dynasty than Anthony Richardson?
Yes. Because I know he's going to start.
See, I don't know that he's going to definitely start. Like, well, I think he'll go to a team. I don't think anybody's just going to be like, Malik Willis, you had a 31.5-point game against the Ravens in week 17. Here's the starting job.
There is a team in Miami that has a...
I get it, but I mean, you don't think they're going to have some sort of competition? Like, they're going to sell their soul for Malik Willis as their quarterback?
No, because I think Malik
that's
Willis...
crazy, man. Like, they've got to have competition there.
Why?
Because Malik Willis hasn't proven anything.
But if you're Miami, that's kind of the point, right? Like, if Malik Willis turns out to be awesome, you got your quarterback. If he turns out to be terrible...
It's a 50-50 shot.
Well, I'm saying if he turns...
terrible.
But if he turns out to be terrible, it accomplishes a goal that I think they're trying to set this year of being really bad so they can get into one of the best quarterback drafts coming up. But I got another one that I want to mention.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a name that I've heard a little bit as somebody that's going to get way more money in free agency than expected. And this is Charlie Kolar of the Baltimore Ravens, who is a free agent tight end. He was drafted in the same year that Isaiah Likely was drafted. He was actually Pro Football Focus's 10th rated tight end last year. He's a very good run blocker. He was pretty good as a receiver whenever he was used. There are teams out there that think that he could be better in their scheme and a more vertical passing offense. Don't be surprised if Charlie Kolar gets like 10 to 11 million per season this offseason, and all of a sudden is right back into the like tight end 2 discussion in our dynasty leagues.
I mean, that's going deep. That's going very deep. I was going to, bring up Mason Taylor, but you shamed me now because
that's
gone
another.
So
I mean,
deep.
A Jets starting tight end is basically the equivalent of a deep snatch. So.
Any Jets at this point, right? So I mean, Taylor was mostly quiet as a rookie. He had double digits 4 times in 13 games. Frank Reich now comes in as the offensive coordinator. They got to bring in a quarterback. I don't know who the heck it's going to be. Whoever it is, I mean, I say a prayer for you because chances are you're not going to do very well because it's the Jets. But I mean, right now, Mason Taylor's, the second or third option in the passing game behind, Garrett Wilson, certainly. And then, maybe A.D. Mitchell, we'll find out. But I mean, Taylor's going to have an opportunity next season to maybe emerge into a low fantasy starter.
Yeah. And I like Mason Taylor a lot. And I think even if they get below average quarterback play in New York, I don't know who's going to be the quarterback. I assume they're going to bring in somebody like Jacoby Brissett just to help run a functional offense. And I think someone like Taylor could be a big benefit of that. You don't have to have an elite team to be an elite.
But Jacoby Brissett is still under contract with the Cardinals, though, isn't he?
Or something of equivalent, right? Whatever.
Okay.
I mean, look at our top 2 tight ends.
Like a Kirk Cousins type.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
Look at our 3 of our top 6 tight ends last year. Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, and Harold Fannin were all on awful teams. Absolutely awful teams.
Yeah.
Who was the best quarterback of the 3? Was it Jacoby Brissett?
From a fantasy perspective?
Well, I'm saying, like, you had Jacoby Brissett, Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett.
I mean, Geno Smith was god-awful.
Wow.
God-awful. And I mean, the Browns, really? So, I mean, well, they did have a Pro Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. So
quarterback.
That's the thing with Taylor. It's like it's so easy to dismiss him because he doesn't have a quarterback, but neither did Brock Bowers, neither did Trey McBride, and neither did Harold Fannin. So if you believe in the talent, go out and get Mason Taylor, because I do think he's discounted right now, at least compared to where he was being drafted, at this time last year.
Yeah. Hey, but before we go, I just want to mention Eric Dane, who passed away yesterday. Eric was a friend. I met him through some mutual friends out in Los Angeles. We played golf together. Eric loved fantasy football, big fantasy football fan. He would text me and, we'd talk. And unfortunately, he lost his battle with ALS. And I just wanted to tell people out there, hey, you know what? You never know, if you're going to have tomorrow. So make sure you love on the ones that you love. And Godspeed, Eric. Really heartbroken for his family.
That is it for today's show. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Club is built for you. Get Locked On Dynasty ad-free plus members-only Discord access and so much more. Head over to lockedondynasty.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we can send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. And on audio, we can make your second listen the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. Follow Fabs on Twitter at Michael_Fabiano. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you right back here on Monday.